Hey everyone, welcome back. Today's deep dive is about something that I think you're probably already feeling yourselves, and that's the ground shifting under social media as we know it. Specifically, we're digging into this platform everyone's buzzing about, Bluesky.
Right.
You want to know why it's suddenly exploding and what it means for the future of, well, connecting online? And you sent us a treasure trove of articles and analysis to do it.
Yeah, and believe me, it's not just hype. We are witnessing a fundamental change in what users expect, what they're not willing to put up with anymore. And that's huge.
Okay, so to really get this Bluesky thing, we have to rewind a bit, right? It's like a side character suddenly stealing the show because the main cast went a little off script. Am I right?
Yeah, that's a great analogy. The recent policy changes over at X, formerly Twitter, really shook things up.
Yeah, not just shook things up, but actually made a lot of people wonder if they even wanted to be there anymore.
And that's the key here. When a platform starts feeling less like a public square and more like, say, being forced to share a park bench with someone blasting an air horn,
Right.
you start looking for a new park. Fast.
Harsh, but accurate. So let's break down why people were hitting uninstall and, more importantly, how Bluesky became the move here sign they flocked to. What's the big deal?
It's the architecture, the whole foundation. See, most social media, it's like renting an apartment in a high-rise owned by one landlord. You play by their rules with your data. Bluesky, imagine if you could take your apartment, your stuff, even your address, and move it to a whole different building, run by people you choose, whenever you want.
Whoa, okay, hold up. That's kind of revolutionary. Is that even possible?
That's what decentralized means. It's not one company controlling everything, it's distributed.
Yeah.
You're not just a user, you're potentially part of the infrastructure, with way more say in how it all works. That's incredibly appealing when people are feeling like their data is being treated more like a product than their property.
So it's less about the features and more about having actual ownership over your online experience. But that doesn't mean Bluesky is lacking on features, right?
Not even close. In fact, the features become even more interesting because they tie directly into this idea of user control. Take programmable feeds, for example.
Okay.
Imagine scrolling through your feed, but instead of an algorithm deciding what you see, it's based on rules you set.
Right.
Want to prioritize posts from your favorite creators? Done! Tired of certain topics clogging up your feed? Gone.
That's huge. I've lost count of how many times I've wanted that kind of fine-tuned control over my social media experience. It's like finally being handed the O chord after years of enduring someone else's questionable playlist.
Exactly. And because it's decentralized, these programmable feeds could even pull in content from different servers or platforms in the future.
Wow.
Imagine a world where you're not siloed into one ecosystem, but seamlessly connected to a wider network of interests and communities.
Okay, now you're just making the other platforms sound ancient. But wouldn't all this freedom make it harder to find new people or discover interesting things? Isn't that part of the fun?
That's the balancing act Bluesky is trying to strike, and they're doing it in some pretty innovative ways. One example, using domain names as user handles instead of those at usernames we're used to.
So instead of at podcast host, it would be
At yourwebsite.com. It adds a layer of authenticity. It's like a built-in trust signal. Plus, it makes it harder for impersonators to operate because you can immediately see if someone's handle matches their actual website or brand.
Makes sense. It's not just a name. It's tied to your online identity, something you've built. But let's get real. All this sounds amazing, but is it actually catching on?
Oh, it's catching on, all right. We're talking over 500,000 new users in a single day at its peak. It's skyrocketed to the top 5 in the U.S. App Store and hit number 2 in the social networking category.
Whoa, hold up. That's blowing past niche appeal. Those are serious numbers. Were they spending a fortune on ads or something?
Nope. What's fascinating is that this growth has been almost entirely organic. Word of mouth. People actively searching for something different. Remember those policy changes we talked about? They weren't just annoying. They were a catalyst.
People were primed for an alternative, and Bluesky was ready with an answer. So the big question, is this the beginning of the end for the social media giants? Or are we getting ahead of ourselves?
It's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? While X is definitely feeling the heat, their download numbers have dipped and they've slipped in the App Store rankings, it's too early to write them off.
So they're bruised, maybe a little rattled, but not down for the count just yet.
Right.
Makes you wonder, though,
Yeah.
is this Bluesky surge a flash in the pan? Or is it signaling a bigger shift?
Yeah.
Like, are we about to see the old guard of social media dethroned?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's definitely not unheard of. Remember when MySpace was the place to be? Then boom, Facebook changed everything.
Yep.
The thing is, those giants, they're not just sitting still, they're watching, adapting, and let's not forget, they still have a massive user base.
Right, like comfort food. Even if you try new things, sometimes you crave that familiar thing.
Exactly.
But what about the other contenders in this race? We've got Meta's Threads hitting some impressive numbers, and then there's Mastodon, which feels like it's been the decentralized darling for a while now.
Right.
What are their chances in this new landscape?
It's a fascinating three-way race. Threads has the advantage of Meta's resources behind it. And let's be honest, integration with Instagram is huge.
Oh, yeah.
But will people trust them to do social differently this time?
Yeah, good point.
Mastodon, they've been championing decentralization for years, but it's a different beast, right? More about smaller, interconnected communities.
Yeah.
It might not be the Twitter replacement some are looking for, but it offers a distinct alternative for those seeking something more intimate and less driven by algorithms.
It's like we're entering this new age of social media, where it's not just about one platform to rule them all, but a constellation of options, each catering to different needs and values. Which is exciting, but also kind of overwhelming. Like, how do we even navigate this new world?
That's the challenge and the opportunity, right? We have more choices than ever, which means we need to be more discerning about where we spend our time and energy online. What are our priorities? Privacy, community, control over our data.
Yeah.
The answers to those questions will likely lead us to the platforms that best suit our needs, whether it's a decentralized haven like Bluesky or a more established platform that's evolving to meet user demands.
So no easy answers, just a whole lot of fascinating possibilities.
Exactly.
One thing's for sure, though. The social media landscape is changing before our very eyes. And it's up to us, the users, to shape its future. Do we want to be passive consumers of content or active participants in building a more decentralized, user-centric online world?
It's a question worth pondering, and one that will likely define the future of how we connect and interact online.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive into the world of Bluesky and the evolving social media landscape. It's a conversation that's far from over, so we encourage you to keep exploring these platforms, ask tough questions, and most importantly, be conscious about the digital world you're choosing to create. Until next time, keep diving.